everyone who's been able to log on okay to the computers? The ones that are working seem to be working all right. Is everyone able to find the website? It should work. I'm going to turn off the lights. This actually should be pretty bright. It's easier to see. Okay, I'm doing my best. I'm trying really hard to eliminate paper from the class, all of my classes. And so what I've done is I put together, there's actually 3 websites. One is my blog, which is what we see right here, and that's Command Central. So if you want to get to the others, it's easiest if you go here first. If you want to know anything about me, like why Kmart, you can click here. That will actually take you to my personal website. If you want to see samples of my artwork, or if you're interested in knowing about my education and my work experience, you can go to my biography or look at my resume. So that's that. But I don't know that anyone really care about that, and that's okay. What you will want to, well, where you will want to go this semester are these 3 places. One are Kirk's classes, and we're going to go there today. And every week, you should go here. It says This Week in Class. And another one that I've added will be video lectures. So as I'm speaking right now and I'm recording, I will upload these to Google Video so you can watch them at home. With some lectures will come out better than others, and that's the way it goes. And I don't help to edit these things, so I just record them and throw them up there and we're done. If we go to This Week in Class, you will see that there are 4 classes that I teach. There is Part 186, and then you move down and there's Part 192, and there is Part 195, which is my 3D modeling class. And here we are down here, Part 196, Web Design, Flash and Dreamweaver. And you'll see it says Tuesday, August 19, 2008, overview of Part 196. That's all we're going to do today. There's no classwork. Your assignment will be to go home and you're going to purchase the textbook or textbooks and materials. This semester I've even tried to put the textbooks on here so that you don't have to write them down. You just click and it will take you to Amazon.com if that's where you choose to buy them. Okay? So every week, this is sort of a mini syllabus. What you'll see on my syllabus for 18 weeks, this will be in 1 week increments. And depending on the dynamic of the class, sometimes we'll move a little faster than what the syllabus says, sometimes we'll have to slow down. So they'll be close to being the same, but oftentimes not quite. Does that make sense? And sometimes I'll go out of order. Again, it depends on the dynamic of the class. Nothing is really chiseled in stone. If things change and we need to take a different route, then that's what we'll do. So this is what you need to, if you're not sure when projects are due or what exercise we're going to be working on this particular week, this is where you need to go. So what are you going to need this semester? You're going to need 2 textbooks. You're going to need a flash drive. You're going to need a notebook to take notes. Let's start with the textbooks. I use the Linda Wyman HOT series. HOT stands for hands-on training. And we actually use 3 different programs in this class. We use Photoshop, we use Flash, and we use Dreamweaver. Okay. Are those the programs you were hoping to use, or not sure, or just? The first week, meaning this Thursday and probably part of next Tuesday, we're going to work on Photoshop. Because I think it's important for you to understand, as I mentioned before we got the tape rolling here, that you need to know the different file formats that are used for the web. There are only a handful, there are only a few. And when you use them, sometimes some formats are better than others. And then using Photoshop, how to save for the web. Because the file formats that are used for the web are compressed file formats, so we want to make sure that the user experience is as good as possible. And that means quick downloads. And when, after it downloads quickly, you get an elegant or sharp-looking image. How often have you gone to a website and it's taken forever to download? Even with a fast internet connection, that's no good. You'll lose your audience very quickly if that happens. So saving properly for the web is really important, and that's what we'll start with on Thursday. So that will be the extent of Photoshop. That's all we're going to do in there. If depending on how much time we have when we get to Dreamweaver, you can lay out pages in Photoshop. So if you have some experience with Photoshop, and you can save the pages in Photoshop as HTML files and open them immediately in Dreamweaver. But that's a little bit more advanced, and so it depends on how quickly we move in the files. But that's pretty much the extent of Photoshop. After that, I pretty much divide the semester into two halves. The first half, I'm going to cover Flash. Okay. So the book that we'll be using is Adobe Flash CS3 Professional by Todd Perkins, but it's a Linda Wyman book. And you'll see here, in 186, it says Adobe Flash CS3 Professional, HOT, hands-on training. It's by Todd Perkins, and when you click on it, it should take you directly to Amazon.com. If that's where you want to purchase it, but if I already, on both places I've given you the ISBN number, pretty much everything you need to know about the book. Okay. A little picture over here, so you can forget what it looks like. Then the second half of the semester, we'll switch to Dreamweaver. So we're going to use Dreamweaver CS3 hands-on training by Linda Wyman. This one is actually written and authored by Garrett Chow, who does a very good job. Okay, so you need both are quite pricey. They're expensive, they're $50. If you want to buy them from the bookstore, you can, but they will charge you this price. So my recommendation is you go to Amazon.com, or you go to Barnes & Noble, or Borders Books and Music. Any number of bookstores sell the book at discounted prices, and if you can get a used book, that's good too, as long as it has the CD with it, because there are exercises built into it. Yes?
Are we going to need those on Thursday?
No, you will not. You don't have to buy them immediately. By the end of next week, if you have Flash Professional, that'd be great. And then by midterm, if you have the Dreamweaver book, that would be great. So you don't have to rush out and buy them all at once, because I realize that it's a financial burden.
Well, not only that, I want to make sure we're in the class first, too.
Right. No, you don't need it right away. And for Photoshop, you do not need the book. Just so you're taking notes, which is great, so that's what you'll have to do. Okay. There are other resources that I'll talk about as well. If you have the money, if you like it, it's useful whether you're taking the class or not. You use some of these other resources. So that's it on textbooks. Everybody clear on that? Any questions? Everybody knows how to get to them. No questions. The other thing that you'll need for the class is a flash drive. Is there anyone who does not know what a flash drive is? It looks like this, but this is not a flash drive. Really, they fit in your USB port, and some people wear them around their neck or on a keychain. You can buy any brand, and buy one that has the largest capacity that you can afford. And this is where you will put all of your files, whether we're saving exercises, or whether you're saving your Flash files, or your HTML files, or the images for your HTML files. Anything that we do in the class will be saved here. If you save them on the computer, especially on the desktop, they will be gone as soon as you log out. Computer Services has installed a program called Deep Freeze on all of these computers, and what it does is when you log out, it resets the computer to an originally configured specification. So everything that you have will be gone. These are known to fail. So in addition to that, on a weekly basis, just for backup, part of the money that you are spending, which is your $10 lap fee, is that we provide blank CDs for you. So I would take whatever you have on here and pop a blank CD into the computer and back everything up every week. I know it's easy for me to say that, but how many of us back up our stuff? And then the hard drive crashes or something goes and you lose hours and hours and hours. In fact, another student of mine, Nicholas Clea, he told me at the end of summer he was working on his hard drive failed and he lost about 12 days worth of work. So, now how much work can you afford to lose? I think that, how many hours can you afford to lose? That's really one of those things. So this you do need right away. So that this Thursday when we work in Photoshop, you can begin saving. Because I know for a number of you, if you're accustomed to working on a PC, it may be a little bit different for you, saving on a Macintosh, and it's worth practicing just for a little bit to make sure that the files are being saved where you think they're supposed to be saved. Okay. And then the last thing is just a note, a little spiral bound or something to take notes. I cover the textbooks pretty closely. There's some things that I do exactly like the textbook, and there's some things that I don't. But you'll know Sunday night when I post it what we'll be covering, and you can peruse the textbook in advance, see what we're going to cover. And then when the lectures have been recorded and uploaded, you can review them. And I'm hopeful that they will be helpful to you. Okay. So in terms of materials and textbooks and stuff, that's all you need. Any questions? How many of you are interested in purchasing the software? And you don't have to. And I don't get any money for you purchasing it. I don't get any money when you buy the textbooks. Even though I have a link to Amazon.com. I wish I got some money for it, but I don't. Okay. So this was this week in class. And this is something that you should go to at least once a week. The other thing that I want you to do is to go to Kirk's classes. And this will send you to another website. And this has all sorts of things for you here. Okay, this, my office is right next door, but I'm usually here or over there. It's easy to find me. My office hours are in the morning. But if you need to get in touch with me, email me, and you can speak to me before class, during class, when we have a break, or after class. Set up special meetings. It's fine. I mean, usually I try to be here by 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Mondays and Wednesdays I'm usually here at 8:30 in the morning, or closer to 8. Let's go to handouts. This page will be very important for you too. For this class, you'll notice over here under inspiration, I have some, and I'll probably be adding some to this, but there's some nice websites that are here for, some of them are quite elaborate. They're there for inspiration. You're not going to be able to design after this class, some of these websites are just too complicated, but Nike has always had some really beautifully designed websites. Hillman Curtis has done some really beautiful work in Flash. For those of you interested in CSS, we're going to do some basic CSS in here, cascading style sheets. But you're not going to design entire websites or pages with CSS. But if you are interested in moving forward in that, the CSS Zen Garden is really good, and we're going to talk about that more much later, as to what even cascading style sheets are and how they can be used to determine the overall look of a page or the text or whatever, a number of things on the website. Okay. We'll also use a variety of tools in this class. Flash Kit is very helpful when you're wanting to design something in Flash and you want to see, maybe I'm not a programmer, I'm a designer, and you want to see how someone else programmed an aspect of Flash. You can go to flashkit.com, and there are a number of people that post probably of everything that you're trying to do, and for free you can download it, and you can look and you can deconstruct it and see how they put it together, and then you can swap out their images, insert yours, and use their action script. Firefox add-ons are really nice. Unfortunately, because we have deep freeze installed here, they don't work here. I will talk to them about that though, but it's some nice web developer tools. At home, you might want to go click here and go to Firefox add-ons, and if you use Firefox at home, I'm going to use that as their default browser. If you don't, I would recommend you switch from Internet Explorer to Firefox, or at least have that as an option. And these can be extremely useful for web developers. Make it really nice. I wish I could show you, but it's not installed here. Juicy Studio and VizCheck are also extremely helpful. Oftentimes when you design, one of the important things to make sure that your page is readable is to make sure that there's adequate contrast between the colors that you use. Oftentimes people will use, I want a black background and I'm going to use red text. And that could be probably the worst thing you can do, because it's really hard to read. Or a deep blue or something. That if you were to extract the hue and just look at the value, they would be almost the same. It's really hard. And so what, I'm pretty sure it's Juicy Studio. What that does is that you just put in the hexadecimal numbers of the colors that you're using, and it calibrates to see if there's adequate contrast for you. VizCheck, I believe, I might be getting these confused. VizCheck will check your website, and you can look at pages and see if people have color blindness, different kinds of color blindness, what your website's going to look like to them. Okay? Because this is something that we'll talk about a lot more, is that you're designing for the masses, and you're trying to not hit the lowest common denominator, but you're trying to hit as many people as you can. So there's all kinds of issues like this that you're going to have to deal with. People who are seeing impaired. How do they see your website? And when their readers read your website, what do you do to make sure that they have adequate access to it? And when we design for school here, we're supposed to make sure that our websites are accessible to everyone. W3C, which is the kind of World Wide Web Consortium, if you want to read something that's pretty boring, but it gives you all the current web standards, and you can go there. Other things that we'll be using too, that are helpful ones, is since the software we use is all manufactured or produced by Adobe, that would be very helpful for you. When we get to designing our own personal website in this class, if you do not have an internet provider that provides space for you, which is just fine. We use tripod.com, which is a free service where you can sign up and you can build your website and throw the pages up there. The only downside to it is that there are horrible banner ads in the top and the bottom of the page, but it's free. So you at least get the experience of using FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, to transfer your files back and forth, and actually have a real working website, not one that only works on your computer, and that's it. Other sources, lynda.com is a tremendous source. We will be using that in this class a lot. I'm a subscriber, so we'll be watching some of their videos. Sometimes they can explain things a lot better than I can, and maybe they will explain it pretty well, and if you don't understand it, then I will come in and I will explain it again my way. But if we go to lynda.com, they provide online tutorials. Not only do they provide books, but online tutorials. There are thousands and thousands of tutorials on any number of subjects, not just web design. It could be programming, it could be 3D modeling, it could be Photoshop, it could be Illustrator, it could be podcasts, all sorts of things. It costs $25 a month to subscribe. If enough of you are interested, what I will have you do, maybe this Thursday, is email me. I will take that list of emails and I will forward it to lynda.com, and you get a student rate for the duration of the semester. You will have access to 5 titles. That would be like having 5 books. And it would cost about $40 for the duration of the semester. But if you're, for example, for those of you who don't know Photoshop, or you want to learn more about web design and have access to all of their titles, $25 a month is a pretty sweet deal. It's sort of like Netflix. You can start and stop the subscription whenever you like. You're not obligated to sign up for it for a year or something like that. That's pretty nice. So I highly recommend them. They're very well organized, some better than others. The one for this class, it's Dreamweaver. Your child does a really super job. And I forget who does the Flash. Okay, so lynda.com, excellent source. Partly why I'm showing you all of these sources is that the more information that you have at your fingertips, especially for different learning styles, I think the better off you'll be, because quite frankly, this does get fairly complicated. And if you miss classes or you come in late, sometimes, regularly, if you come in, load in here around 10 o'clock, it will be hard to stay, to be current on everything, keep up with the class. If you're interested in buying the software, I have 3 sources for you here: Creation Engine, uscollegeby.com, and journeyed.com. For Adobe software, US College By is by far the best choice. When you click on that link, it takes you here. It's Computer Land of Silicon Valley. It says Adobe Student License Program. If you click here, it will take you to the Adobe software page. And for this class, this is a deal. The CS3 Design Premium Suite, either for Mac or the PC. If you have a little bit more money at your disposal, this one would be pretty nice too, the Master Collection for $525. But watch, for $314, this is a real bargain. I mean a real bargain. Go ahead and click here, and you will see that you'll have InDesign, which is desktop publishing. That's Adobe's program, CS3. You'll have Photoshop CS3 Extended. You'll have Illustrator CS3. You'll have Adobe Acrobat 9 Professional. You'll have Flash, you'll have Dreamweaver, that's 6 applications. That's not bad for $314. To buy them individually, it's what, $180? No, it's 100, for Flash it would be 130, and if you want a Dreamweaver, it'd probably be another 130, so you're up to 260. And you only have 2 of the 6, so why not spend $314 and have all 6 applications?
I think there's more than 6. I think there's fireworks, if you keep
They are
going down.
including more, yeah. So, yeah, I'm sure I'm missing something here, or maybe they've changed the package.
Maybe they changed it.
So that maybe the $525 one now has fireworks. Fireworks, by the way, was Macromedia's answer to Photoshop. And now that Adobe has purchased Macromedia, it's now Adobe Dreamweaver and Adobe Flash. There have been some changes, and they have kept fireworks. And it is a great tool for saving for the web and that sort of thing.
I have it, but I have a phone that exactly.
Shouldn't matter.
Don't
Doesn't
have it.
matter.
My
Not
files
one
can go back and forth
You can go back and forth.
from my Flash.
As long as you're saving on a flash drive, you can go back and forth. Flash drives are not formatted for a particular platform. In the past, when we used to use zip drives, they were, and it would become problematic. It could be done, but it was an issue. When you save an HTML page in here, or you save a Flash document, it can be opened on either platform as long as you save it on the platform. So it would be perfect.
Is a Flash and Dreamweaver 8 much different from the CS3 version?
Parts of them have changed a lot, especially the action script. Action script, and we don't use much of it in here, but if you plan on getting serious with it, action script 3 is entirely different from 2 and 1. Total rewrite. Other aspects of it are very similar, but that's probably the biggest change. There are others, I'm sure. In fact, I know that all of that. That's the biggest one that I can think of. You can certainly get by with the old ones. I mean, you're not going to, especially in this class, you're not going to hinder them down. So this gives you an idea if you want to buy it. You're not required to buy the software, but I want to make sure that you know where it can be purchased. And there is one caveat that because these are sold to, these are educational prices, that you will have to show proof that you're a student. So that means emailing them or faxing them something, and it could be a copy of your photo ID. What did you have to submit?
It's a copy of your photo ID with a copy of your class schedule, or a copy of your student ID with your class schedule.
Okay. So, and I have not read the license that you would be signing, but I'll bet it's for non-commercial purposes. No one will ever know. You know, for what purpose you're using them after the class. You know, things haven't gotten that bad yet. The software police come knocking on your door saying that, no, is this legal? I'm not in school anymore. Well, you're not supposed to be using this software. It's for student purposes only. And you're not supposed to have it on more than one computer, but people do. It's expensive, what can I say? It's hard to keep up with all this. Okay. So feel free to interrupt anytime if you have questions. Don't wait for me. Let's move on to grading and syllabi. And for all of my classes, if you click here, I'll have, these are PDF files. If you're using Safari as a browser, these download and open very easily. Sometimes in Firefox, Internet Explorer requires a little bit of tweaking in order to get PDF files to open. The classroom procedures for my classes are the same for all the classes. My grading policy, rules for the class, so let's go ahead and open that now.
Mine's asking, we administrator name and password.
Oh, that comes up, that would not come up at home, so I have to put that in. I'll put in administrator. Anyone else? That pops up. Anyone else? All okay? So let's talk about some basic rules for the class. And I'm not going to cover them all right now in detail, but just the pertinent ones. Such as number 1, no smoking, eating, or drinking in classroom, and I allow you to break 2 of the 3 rules. Because you'll notice it's posted outside, there are signs everywhere. No cell phones, no eating, no drinks, or anything like that. I'm here early in the morning until in the afternoon. I have my tea or my coffee in the morning, and I think it's not fair that you're not able to drink coffee or tea as well. So what I ask you to do is that if you bring coffee or tea in here, whether it's in a mug or whatever, that you have some sort of water. That's right. And then while you're working, just set it on the floor or keep it away from the computer so that if it tips, it doesn't go on the keyboard. Okay? And if you eat, just use good judgment. If you eat potato chips, don't lean over the keyboard. Let all the crumbs fall on the keyboard. And don't use greasy hands on the keyboard. We have wipes to clean it up, but that gets kind of, especially if you can't work at home, then you're probably going to need to make as much use of the time that you have in here as you can in order to stay up with it. Because you should be able to finish everything in class. But when I'm done lecturing, oftentimes it's split, and I don't know how they complete the work. So it would behoove you to make as good a use of the time as you have if you and that would mean out of your coffee and bagel or whatever, working through the class. Coming to class with everyday materials and stuff is pretty obvious. Pacing yourself, that is an important thing. Because later on I have written in here that, and I don't adhere to it anymore, that I used to deduct points for late work, for being absent, unexcused absences and parties and things like that. I don't do that anymore. But what I do is on this week in class, I post when projects are due. So you should be wrapping up this project and emailing it to me. So for example, if we do a band ramp in Flash, or maybe I tell you to illustrate a poem or something, we should be finishing up by the end of this week. So take the SWF file, attach it to an email, and send it to me. If you need a little bit of extra time, take it. That's fine by me. I'd rather see you do good work rather than get something in just for the sake of getting something in. But realize that if you're adding time to this project, you're taking away time from the other project. So if you don't pace yourself and you stay too long on a particular project, it will be near impossible to do justice to the next one. Okay? And I'm going to leave it up to you to know what you feel comfortable with. Especially, if you're working at home, and a number of people do, then you can put in tons of hours, and put together some pretty nice stuff. Tardies and absence, again, I don't count them anymore. I do take roll, but it will work to your detriment this way. I should have said this yesterday, is that when I see bodies here and I see you working hard, it does affect the way I grade. Because if I see a project that isn't quite up to snuff, but it's good. I see all the effort that's been put into it. I will give you the benefit of the doubt if grades are important to you. If I don't see you here, the only thing I can do is when I see the project, I will grade it based on the criteria that I have outlined, and that's it. And I use basically professional standards, and does it meet up to those standards or not, and then I grade accordingly. But if I see you here working, and you might see two people. One works at home and I don't see them, the other one works here, and the one at home may be better than the one that's here, and the one that's here may actually get a better grade. Only because effort counts in this class. And I'll talk about that in a minute too after I take a break. Because I want you to feel that you can afford to fail in this class, meaning that you can take risks, that you can make mistakes, okay? That it doesn't have to be perfect. It'd be nice, but it doesn't have to be, because that you learn by making mistakes. And I think you also do more creative work by feeling that you can make mistakes. So, repeated tardies and stuff, let me know if your schedule changes, because it's my job that I'm supposed to drop you. If there are, I forget the numbers, but if there's 6 consecutive absences, I'm supposed to drop you. Sometimes people get sick, some people are suddenly called away, like the student that I had that went to India, and they'll email me and say, please don't drop me, I will be back. I've been called away for work. I will do my best to make up the work. Maybe they can, maybe they can't, but I won't drop. So be in contact with me, and just to give you an idea, that those are the numbers that I have there. For 18-week semester, I think it's 6 consecutive absences. Mobile phone etiquette, number 7. Again, outside they say no mobile phones, don't they? I think they're a part of our culture now. There's no way you're going to get rid of them. It's silly for them to put those signs up. I think what you do is if you just put it on vibrate for this class, and if you get a call, just get up and walk out. Take the call, and when you're done, come back. And that's it. It's simple. And I think that has worked very well. I don't want to hear your fancy, ringtones. Well, some of them are pretty cool, but most of them I don't want to hear, especially if I'm lecturing. And I make the mistake too. I'll forget to turn it off. I'll get a call from somebody. That's the way it goes. Those are the rules for phones in the class. Excuse me. If you're having a problem with an assignment or understanding something that I've covered, interrupt me in class. Don't wait until I'm done, because sometimes that moment goes away and it's hard to come back to it. So feel free to just blurt it out or raise your hand and just let me know that I need to stop. Because if you need help, my bet is that there are at least 10 other people in here, minimum, who need help too, that just are too afraid to ask. If you need help after class, it's fine also, or before class, just up to you. So, yeah, communication is important, especially when you're having difficulty with an assignment or understanding a concept. Illnesses, yada, yada, yada. Classroom participation, as I just mentioned, is really important. That does factor into your grade. That's what working here means. On another day, when we are actually doing projects, I'll talk more about following directions and your creative concept in your presentation and things like that. Ignore the late projects. Revised projects is important, and that's until the last day of class, you're welcome to redo projects. If you're dissatisfied with a grade or feel that you could have done better or you want to revise it, you're always welcome to. And you can resubmit it. That sounds really generous, but on the other hand, given the limited time, it's kind of hard to make up that time. So you know, do your best the first time, but if you really think maybe there's some minor tweaks that you want to make, or even if it's a complete redo, and you just really have to redo it, and do it and resubmit it. I use a point system for my grading, with the exception of the second half of the semester. The second half of the semester is Dreamweaver when we do a website. That's worth half of your grade. And there will be periodic checks this semester so that I will give you progress reports on that. And I haven't done that in the past, and I really need to, so that everybody stays and doesn't get caught up in that last week. Oh my gosh, it's not working. First half of the class, and we do the Flash project, and we do one Photoshop project for saving for the web. They're all equally weighted. So when I give an assignment, it's worth 10 points. The web design, maybe not quite half, maybe 20 to 30 points. But it's, so when you see a grade on a slip, or when I email you, I usually give you a little critique back. It tells you where the strengths of your project are and where I feel it needs to be improved. And if you, for example, get 6 out of 10, just as an example, that's not a D, that's a B. It's a B minus, which is not the end of the world. So you can see the point breakdown, that's how that works. Do you have any questions about the grading policy or classroom procedures? It's pretty straightforward. As I mentioned, in this class, everything will be turned in by way of email. There will be no printed documents. If you want to look at the syllabus, I'm not going to go over it here in class today, but you just click on Art 196 syllabus, and it will give you a rundown week by week, pretty much of what we're going to be covering. And as you can see right here, it's pretty much the same as what I have on this week in class. The first week introduction, a quick tour of overview of web design, and then we'll be optimizing web images and scanning basics. Okay. And then next week, we'll start with Flash and move on. And then about midterm, 7-8 week. We'll switch to week 10 here. We're going to switch to Dreamweaver. This is flexible in here. It depends on what you do. And don't pay attention to the pages. I think this was CS2 or something, Dreamweaver, the last version. So. And similarly for exercises, if I click on 196, optimizing images for the web. This will be the first assignment that we do. And again, we'll go over that more. And this is for what I describe, and I give you the particulars of what we'll be doing. And I will explain it and show you examples, and we'll go through it in detail in class, but you will always have access to all of my handouts here online, here or at home. On my blog, from time to time, I will write little, I guess, for lack of a better term, articles on subjects or topics that I find interesting and I want to share with all of you, like this particular piece from a TED Talk. There's another one that I want to show you today as well, on creativity and education. There are other things that we talk about too, that if I, in this particular case, I've gone to a gallery or a museum and sharing with you some things, just personal interest. Typography primer. Site is really important in web design, and there will probably be a time that you may or may not have time for me to give a lecture on it, but I have a recorded lecture that you're free to look at, and some other particulars about web design, or not web design, about type design that you can watch and read about in here. So I will try to make you aware of what's available on here, what it's going to say. So that's what this is for. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything or not. I don't think so. Questions? No? What is it that you want to do? I mean, were most of you here for the Flash? At one time, that was the case. Everybody, I gotta learn Flash. Forget Dreamweaver, because I want to build my website in Flash. And then there came a time, a couple of years ago, when everybody was using CSS to design, style sheets to design their websites. So that's changed. And now it's back to Dreamweaver here. If you link or put the link to the artwork in Kirk's classes, these top 6 links go to websites of previous student. Joseph Ariano did a very nice one. This was done in Flash. So you can see if we reload this, it's animated. So if you want to get really fancy with your buttons, you can put your About Me. Notice how it enlarged and kind of flipped and vibrated a little bit. And you can scroll through the text in here. Very nice. You can look at his artwork. All done. This is all done in Flash. Now, I'm not expecting you to be able to do an entire website in Flash. Some of these are advanced students, but it's an example of what can be done. The set sheet had taken my class twice, and the second time. This is an example of a free tripod. Notice the horrible, ugly ads at the top and ugly ads at the bottom. Beautifully designed, very basic. Samuel Chavez works out there. He did most of this. He really pushed himself with cascading style sheets to build this. I don't think the contact in this one is functional, because we don't cover dynamic things, sometimes small units that you got set up for. So, basic looking website. This is an excellent one. He did this last semester. Sungrun. I can't pronounce his name. Really nice guy. Buddhist monk.
He is a Buddhist monk.
Yeah. And so this is something, and he paid particular attention to the exercises in Dreamweaver to do this. Now it's taken a little while to load, which is kind of odd because he did do this very efficiently. You wouldn't know it by looking at the way this thing is downloaded. So there's your welcome. All the presets. So he has all of these parts loaded in different windows here. See that he has a gallery page. Taking a long time. I think the internet has bogged down. I don't think this is him. But here's samples of work that he had done in the past. So this is definitely, he's a very diligent student. Something that you can do by the end of the semester. Christine also did one that was done almost entirely with Dreamweaver. Not a lot of Flash. There's some Flash in here, but not. This was extremely complicated, a lot of content. Astrology. But this class, you'll see that all of these are pretty graphically rich. You know, how do you add, you know, colorful backgrounds, and how do you incorporate interesting looking buttons that have rollover effects? Notice that when you roll over it, it changes color, and the color drops and things like that. Some of them are easy, some of them are not. Actually, Dreamweaver has included now some pretty interesting tools that allow you to do, like these buttons in particular, quite easily. Add them quite easily. In the old days, it was much harder. Trans is a good example of one that, for example, if you are kind of enthralled by Flash because of what it can do with animation and color and that sort of thing, not everybody, at least, can view websites that are designed in Flash. Particularly people who are sight impaired. They've made improvements, but it doesn't work that way. There was a time when Flash was not ubiquitous, that you had to mindfully install the plugin in your browser in order for it to work. So, and it's still somewhat true today that you have to give people choices. So if you want a website that is done entirely in Flash, you might have to actually have two parallel websites, one done in HTML and the other one done in Flash, and then you give the end user the choice. And they look similar to one another, but typically the one in HTML, the motion is a bit clunky. It's not as smooth. When you go here, and you can see he just went all out with the animation part, lots of, here's his preloader, just waiting for everything to load up. That's another thing. Sounds in Flash are easy to add, but they can be really annoying. Really, really annoying. There was something on the news this morning about the Olympics, because China has surpassed any other country in web users. And with the Olympics, there's more advertising in the web, at least in China, than there has been before. The Chinese ads, they like them to be colorful, lots of animation, and to be very annoying. So, you know, that sound is one of those things that really grab people's attention, and it sounds really neat at first, and then after 30 seconds you go, oh, okay, and then after a minute or two, it's like enough over. His animations, he started off, well, many years ago, taking one of my 3D modeling classes and then moved on. Let's look at one of his completed projects here. Let's try to do this one. Now, he wouldn't be required to do any of this animation because he did all of this in a 3D modeling program. So, a lot of what you see in here is done in other programs. Just going to turn off the sound. was beautifully animated, really, really nice. Great characters. Okay, so this is a little streamer running through this file. When you roll over all the buttons, it's pretty fancy. These added sound buttons. When you click from one to another, when all these windows move and open and change, that's doable, but it takes a lot of work. Things that look really neat usually take a lot of work. Not always. So these are examples of what can be done after or by the end of the semester in this class. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and stop my video there. And then there's 2 videos that I'd like you to watch that I find to be inspirational. And we'll do more of that this semester. I did that this last summer. I don't know, Dan, did you find that helpful? Inspirational.